Things are gonna get crazy.
Most everyone's mad here.
Hello, people! Welcome back to another major round of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing, everyone? I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I hope you all had some time to just relax, take a break, go easy on yourself, and especially to take care of yourself, because self-care is very much important, because I know that I've taken care of myself lately, been feeling a little bit sick, but, getting better, still managing to do whatever I can to keep myself healthy, keep myself good, and to keep myself happy. Sometimes it's not easy, but, I'm doing the best I can. And I'm just going to tell you right now, we are just starting this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, and already I just feel frickin' tired. I know it sounds crazy, but truthfully, yes. I mean, considering the news that we have for you today, and especially with what is going on right now as I am recording this, a lot of this already feels pretty overwhelming, but I am going to do the best that I can to go after this one by one. This is going to be a big one that I'm going to be ready to, really get into, so brace yourselves, folks. We are going to get into some major news. We're going to get into some major controversies. And hopefully we can go and make sense of the madness that has been recently happening, because truly, in the world of big businesses, things have really been getting out of hand. All right, so with that said now, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, are you prepared for this major episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Because truly, we're about to get into some really wild stories here. All right, so is everyone ready right now? Let's see. Yes, people are prepared. That is beautiful. People are set. People are ready. That is great to hear. And I think with that said, it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story that I have for you today, we're going to go into an update of what could possibly be one of the biggest news stories of the year, the big battle of Disney versus Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. We all know about the story in regards to Florida's Don't Say Gay bill and how controversial and even downright bigoted that it is, mostly getting backlash. And with the response of Disney, well, it's been extremely messy, where their PR is just an absolute hell because of this, and it really did tarnish a lot of the reputation of the new CEO, Bob Chapek. Considering that their response was, well, relatively slow, that they didn't want to do anything at first, but now, slowly but surely, because people have pressured them to do something, they went and done so. But still not in a satisfactory way. It really feels like nowadays, whenever Disney supports the LGBTQ plus community, a lot of it feels like it's just virtue signaling. But then again, I guess better late than never, because Disney has spoken out against the Florida Don't Say Gay bill in order to actually show support for the LGBTQ plus community, and took a vow to actually go and stop whatever other bill would go and attack the community or trans people or what have you, that they will go and put in actual effort to go and support the LGBTQ plus community. But of course, with how fragile people such as Ron DeSantis are, he took that as a serious offense. Like, how dare you disobey my orders? How dare you not let me be as bigoted and yell blood and soil towards anyone that I hate? And because of that, Ron DeSantis this week decided to go and truly punish Disney for it, which is what we are going to be talking about today. So let's go ahead and talk about the stripping of Disney's special tax status. Yes, if you guys haven't heard, not a few weeks, but a few days ago, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and the Florida GOP has officially announced and have voted that they are going to be stripping away Disney's self-governing status. Now, for those of you who don't know, what this pretty much means is that they are pretty much taking away Disney's special status where in their own little land, which is called, I believe, the Reedy Creek Improvement District, that, like, from there, Disney, like, for the past several decades, that they are allowed to go and that they would pay for the services in that specific area, that they are the ones that they can go and establish their laws, they can go and establish their own rules that is completely separate from the government of Florida. That it's a little bit as if Disney owned their own separate land. Like Disney World is almost as if its own country in a sense. In fact, let me go and read you a little bit more about what this means. Right here from my source on the BBC, it states, its special status had effectively allowed the company to operate as its own municipal government with its own board of supervisors and fire department, and meant Disney could even build its own airport or nuclear power plant if desired. It had given the entertainment giant freedom for almost all bureaucratic intervention for half a century, and is thought to have saved it from tens of millions of dollars in taxes and fees. So Disney would go, and technically they would have to go and pay for their own self-governance, but then again, Disney pretty much is their own ruler of the land at Disney World. But with what Ron DeSantis and what the GOP has signed on, they decided to go and immediately take away that special status from Disney. And it even states that apparently that special district, it's not going to be immediate. It's not like effective right now. Disney will lose all of its special taxes and self-governance government status and anything like that. Apparently it will take a while where it will no longer be in effect on June 1st, 2023. And of course, it goes without saying that all this is because of how Disney decided to call out Ron DeSantis and the GOP about the Don't Say Gay bill. Despite the fact that they didn't do anything to stop it, Disney did denounce it, where they say that it is wrong and that we should protect the rights of the LGBTQ plus community, and that we should protect the LGBTQ plus youth so that they could feel safe for being who they actually are. So that's the big thing that we are seeing so far, and that's kind of the big reason why people are freaking out about the news related to Walt Disney World and with Disney and stuff like that. And so far, I think it's safe to say that the responses to all this is just absolutely chaotic, that people are just absolutely freaking out and just panicking about what Ron DeSantis has done to Disney and the attack that he has done towards Disney for what could pretty much be freedom of speech, because basically what Disney has done, they didn't actually do anything. I mean, technically they did put in a pause about financing GOP and Republican politicians who have funded and supported the Don't Say Gay bill. Like, yeah, they took some action to it, but for the most part, it really is nothing more but words. So in a sense, Ron DeSantis really is attacking Disney for their First Amendment, for using their freedom of speech. And from there, people are thinking about possible, they're thinking about ideas of what they can do in response to it. And one thing that is actually very common to find on social media, where people think it would probably be the best idea of what Disney can do in response, a way to really get back at Florida is to go and take Walt Disney World and move it somewhere else. Yeah, I kid you not. Apparently they decided to go into freaking Patrick Star mode and say, we should take Walt Disney World and push it somewhere else. I mean, I get the idea. Like, I understand that by moving Walt Disney World, you would no longer go and fund a very bigoted state like Florida, and you would stop fueling the economy that is led by what is essentially a very authoritarian and fascist ruler like Ron DeSantis. But there is one tiny little problem that you may have forgotten, and that is the fact that ever since Walt Disney has first announced Walt Disney World, it is literally twice the size of the island of Manhattan. Walt Disney World is effing huge. You can't just take that massive piece of land and just move it to another state or move it to wherever. It's impossible. And even if you can do it, it would take so many years and it would cost so much money. Like, it would literally cost like billions upon billions of dollars just to move every single asset from Walt Disney World. Like all the theme parks, all the rides, all the hotels, all the different restaurants, all the little shops, and every little thing. You gotta take like all that and move it somewhere else. And not to mention, not only is it stupidly expensive, but it is also going to take years, decades even. I think, honestly, I would even debate that it would probably take more than one generation to move the entirety of Walt Disney World from one state to another, even if it's somewhere like really close by, like Georgia or Kentucky or whatever. Like, it would just take way too long. So honestly, in terms of that idea, it is just absolutely impossible and extremely unrealistic. Yeah, I mean, like, I know that they would always promote that Walt Disney World has some magic, but they don't have the magic of teleportation. That's honestly a little bit ridiculous right there. So, no. Honestly, like, as much as people are panicking, that, like, moving Walt Disney World to somewhere else, that is not an option right there. It's honestly ridiculous. And at this point, there is one thing that I do want to comment regarding not just what Ron DeSantis just did by stripping away Disney's self-governing status, but I mean, throughout this entire controversy, with the way that Disney is being repeatedly attacked by the far right, continuously being labeled as some of the worst things ever, like often commonly being referred to as a child groomer because of their support for the LGBTQ plus community, and not to mention like letting the GOP like beat them down like with hit after hit after hit with like many of their laws and stuff like that. And by that point, like, it does make me wonder, why the fridge is Disney sitting there and do nothing? Like, okay, there is a part of me that does understand a little bit. Like, I kind of get it, because if Disney would do another extra step, if they would take action to do anything, then it will result in having one side be even more upset with Disney than they already are. Because let's be honest, it is unanimous that everybody is upset at Disney right now because of this entire controversy. Rather if you're in the left or in the right, everybody is mad at them. Like, it could be for completely different reasons, but the sentiments are kind of the same. And if Disney would do one thing or the other, it's definitely going to go and make one group even more angrier, and it will cause even more problems for Disney. Because think about it, if Disney would go and comply with Ron DeSantis and the conservatives, then it's really going to piss off the majority of people, and it's really going to piss off those who do support LGBTQ plus rights. And from there, it could really go and damage not just their reputation, but their bottom dollar as well, where people will go and resort to stop buying many of their products that they will see like in a massive, like they will see en masse, like unsubscriptions to Disney Plus. They will see like their box office numbers really go down. They're gonna see like merchandising not being bought whatsoever. Like, it will really harm Disney's bottom dollar if they do side with like the bigots. But if Disney would go and side with the majority of the people, if they do side with the LGBTQ plus people, and they do take action in order to protect them and to stop the slandering and all the attacks, well, then the conservatives are going to be even more pissed off than ever before, and you're going to see some far-right people that will take some terrorist-like actions. I mean, they're already at the point where they are on the verge of wanting to go and commit a mass shooting at Walt Disney World. I know that is an extreme allegation, but the truth is, like, when you would see all those campaigns of attacking Disney and calling them child groomers and stuff like that, you do see that they would go and, like, send out little subliminal messages where they would say, like, bring ammo and stuff like that. Like, they are prepared to go and actually, like, take their guns, take their rifles, and shoot whoever they want. I mean, considering that these people are already in the mental capacity of literally accusing anyone of disagreeing with them as child groomers, then it's not hard to imagine that they do also have that same mental capacity as school shooters, that they're ready to go and take their guns and shoot down every child that they see that is in their path. So that's one thing that Disney wants to go and avoid. So in that part, I do get it. But then again, considering the amount of attacks and slandering that Disney has received, like, why isn't it that Disney should take action? It should take action. I mean, these are some horrible accusations that they're being called out for. And yet, shouldn't Disney want to do something in order to stop these things? I know it's like kind of a difficult, like, rope act that they're trying to commit, like, while they're going through all this, but like, why isn't Disney doing anything about it? Why isn't Disney, like, telling them to shut up, stop, like, calling out the allegations that they are not true, at least in terms of the most extreme ones, like, at least to shut up the far-right extremists who are going to attack them? Like, honestly, it kind of perplexes, like, I understand, but at the same time, it kind of perplexes me about their silence. Like, do they know what, like, I kind of question if they really do know what they're doing, if they're just letting these far-right extremists, like, giving them, like, all these different hits and let them get away with, like, making these extreme and, like, psychotic allegations. But I will say this, though, from all that we have been witnessing, from what they have done, like, with what Ron DeSantis has committed by going after Disney and stripping away their special self-governing status, with all of that, it did have me thinking, and I did do a little bit of research of what that would mean for Disney. What would be the consequence of Walt Disney World, of the Walt Disney Company, and even in terms of the state of Florida? And I have concluded that, like, I've seen all the different, like, possibilities of what could happen, all the different branches of what will happen to Walt Disney World. What if this would happen? What if that would happen? Like, what if, like, this might not happen? And what, like, all these different options. And I came to the conclusion that they all result in the same thing. Like, at the end of the day, what would ultimately be the fate of Walt Disney World? What would be the fate of Disney, especially considering that we are freaking out that Ron DeSantis just did commit a massive blow at Disney for taking away their special tax cut, well, not special tax cut, but their special tax status, their self-governing status. Without it, what's going to happen to Disney? In truth, no matter what, Disney is going to be fine. They're actually going to be okay in all this. Like, at the end of the day, in the long run, ultimately, Disney is going to be the one that they'll come out on top. They're going to come out okay. And I would even argue that they're going to come out unharmed. Now, I know that sounds absolutely crazy. That sounds insane, really. Like, you'd think that with this massive attack at Disney, like, how is it that they're going to be fine? Well, let me go and tell you. Because here's the thing. Okay, Ron DeSantis decided to go and strip Disney away from their special tax and from their special self-governing status. That they would go and take that all away from not just Walt Disney World, but from the Reedy Creek area. Let me go and ask you this. Disney paid a lot of money on a regular basis to have that self-governing status, to make sure that they stay in control of all the things that do happen in the Reedy Creek area, which does take a significant part of both the Orange County and the Osceola County. Now, without that self-governing status, who the fridge is going to pay for all those services? Who is going to pay for all that? because it certainly won't be Disney anymore. But I will tell you, you know who's going to pay it? Taxpayers, specifically all those in the Orange County and the Osceola County. And by that point, you think, shouldn't they have an actual say in this? Shouldn't they actually go and actually have a word, considering that at this point it's going to be their money that will actually be messed with, because it's no longer going to be Disney that will be paying this. It's actually going to be them that will be paying for the services that will happen in their own respective area in the Orange County or in the Osceola County. In fact, it actually is by law that they should do so. Because let's actually go right over here. Because I got here, this is from the Florida Senate website. And I had to go look into it. And this is actually specifically from their, this is all from their list of laws from the 2015 Florida Statutes, Title 13, Chapter 189, Section 072, in paragraph 2A. And here's the thing. Let me go and read this to you. In order for the legislator to dissolve an active independent special district created and operating pursuant to a special act, the special act dissolving the active independent special district must be approved by a majority of the resident electors of the district, or for districts in which a majority of government body members are elected by landowners, a majority of landowners voting in the same manner by which the independent special district government body is elected. If a local general purpose government passes an ordinance of resolution in support of the dissolution, the local general purpose government must pay any expenses associated with the referendum requiring under this paragraph. So already on this section alone, it pretty much states that before any of this can actually go and take effect, the people of either the Orange County and of both the Orange County and the Osceola County should actually have a say in this, because this is actually going to affect their future, and especially this will affect their finances. And they have to have a say in this, because that is what, well, we commonly know as a democracy. And if you're not going to do anything by democracy, if the people of America can't have a say in this, well, then it's no longer America. And honestly, going at it without people's say is, well, un-American. It's unpatriotic. But sadly, it looks like Ron DeSantis has a hatred for democracy and wants to do things his own way. He really is a major fan of authoritarian fascism and is very unapologetic about it, which is why, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like, well, with what he has signed, it doesn't seem like people can really have a say in this. So by that point, what's going to happen? Well, unfortunately, it looks like the people of Osceola and Orange County, they would have to go and pay additional taxes on a regular basis, rather it be monthly or even annually. And I heard the numbers, it has often fluctuated. Some people are saying that it could be around hundreds of dollars, or even at the most, it could go into thousands of dollars. I've seen that number, rather it be either monthly or annually, could actually go up to over $2,000. And by that point, all it is nothing more but an anti-woke tax. That is ultimately what Ron DeSantis is pretty much creating for those people living in the Reedy Creek area, that he's just imposing this anti-woke tax in addition to all of what they have to go and pay. And I don't care who you are, rather it be a socialist liberal or the most Trump supporting anti-SJW woke hating conservative, it doesn't matter what side you are. I don't think there is anyone on earth who would be willing to go and pay for this anti-woke tax. And not to mention that, considering that Florida is already in financial debt, it would go and make things so much worse for them. How bad would it be? Well, a lot of financial experts have found that because of what they have done, the big consequence would be that it would put Florida in $1 billion in additional debt, because they stripped away Disney's self-governing status. That ultimately it would put a much bigger debt in Florida. And at that point, the ones who are going to go and pay, the taxes, it will no longer just be the people in Orange and Osceola County. Like, it's actually going to grow all across Florida to go and pay for that additional debt. And by that point, not only is it going to screw over the Florida residents, but it will put Florida in financial ruin, and it will shatter the reputation of the Florida GOP and Ron DeSantis for what they have done with all of this. Like, really, it's at the point, like, I know that typically what they're going to do if that situation does occur, then all they're going to do is throw the blame at Democrats. Like, whatever they have done wrong, they're just going to pin the blame for them, even if Democrats or Joe Biden has nothing to do with it. Like, for them, that's like their pure, easy scapegoat that only the most simple-minded and the most idiotic would go and believe. Case in point, like what they are currently doing right now with inflation, that like with gas prices going at ridiculous heights right now, and with like at any store you go, you see the prices significantly rise. They're just blaming it on Joe Biden and the Democrats. Forget the fact that inflation is happening all around the world and that everyone knows for a fact that it is caused by Vladimir Putin with his war on the Ukraine. But that's still something that they're desperately trying to do, to convince people that inflation is caused by the Democrats. Why? Well, they're not going to go and explain why. They're just using that as a desperate scapegoat. But the thing is that most people are not that stupid. They know for a fact that it is going to boil down to Ron DeSantis. And if Ron DeSantis is the cause of putting Florida in such financial ruin and like put in an additional $1 billion in debt just to fuel his culture war against Disney, then I can guarantee you his career will pretty much be over right there. Okay, but let's go and think about another scenario here. Let's say that there is a case that the taxes that the people of those counties, it's not going to be that high. It's still going to be manageable. Like, by that point, what's going to happen? Okay, now, if the case be that if there is no debt that could occur, that if the taxes are not going to be significantly high, well, then at that point, if the Florida people are not going to pay as much in additional taxes, then that means it's a guarantee that the services in Florida is going to be, well, not just in Florida, but especially in Walt Disney World, in that area that used to be Reedy Creek, it's going to significantly drop. The quality of all those different services is going to be at an all-time low, which will affect the quality of Walt Disney World itself. And I think by that point, that's going to actually damage Disney's bottom dollar. And if it is actually going to go and damage Walt Disney World's quality, then Disney will have no choice but to go and take Ron DeSantis and the GOP to court. Like, I know they've been silent right now, but it's going to be at a situation when push comes to shove. And if it's going to be a situation where it's really going to be crippling on Disney's finances, like if it's really going to hurt them financially like that badly, then Disney will have no choice but to actually go after the GOP, that they are going to go and hit them hard in court. And this could be something that can take a while a little bit, but if that situation does occur that Disney is going to go and sue Ron DeSantis and the GOP, then it's going to be extremely likely that Disney will actually come out on top. I mean, forget the fact that they already got some of the greatest lawyers in the world. But there is also the factor that this entire move is specifically done to go after Disney. That already they're doing something a little bit criminal with the fact that they're actually singling out a specific company with the vote that they have committed right there. And not to mention that Disney can also go and add in all the different slandering that they have received like across the weeks, that all the different accusations of them being child groomers that is purely fueled by these Republican politicians. They can add on to that into the court case, where slandering can also be an issue that it's a guarantee that these Republicans are going to lose. So that is why, in whatever situation it may be, maybe there's not going to be a case where like one is going to come out as a major winner. But in every single scenario, Disney is the one that will come out the least harmed. And they're not going to change whatsoever in regardless of whatever situation that they are in. Like, they could still remain as woke as ever, and they'll still be perfectly fine without much of their finances to be really hurt. Because if it does get hurt, then that's when they're really going to go and take action and actually go after Ron DeSantis and maybe even Fox News for really adding that fuel to the fire. They're going to be perfectly fine because before Disney would face any form of consequences whatsoever because of all this, it's a guarantee that the residents of Florida, like even beyond the Orange and Osceola County, and Ron DeSantis and the Florida Republican politicians, they are going to be receiving far more damage, again, before Disney would face any form of consequences on this whatsoever. But there is one more thing that I do want to add. One thing that could also explain maybe why Disney isn't really saying anything about this whole situation, especially with the fact that their self-governance status has been taken away from them. Because yes, it may seem shocking and it may seem damaging to Disney that they decided to go, that Ron DeSantis and the Florida GOP decided to take away Disney's self-governing status. Like, it does seem bad now. But there's nothing that ever states that Disney can't just reinstate it afterwards. Because that seems to be the major flaw in all this. That seems to be the biggest problem. It's the fact that, like, there's nothing that states that Disney cannot put their self-governing status back into place like the day afterwards. Because keep in mind, like, this is going to be happening officially on June 1st, 2023. Like, way long after people are like, this is going to be at the moment where people are going to completely forget about this entire controversy. They'll forget about the whole feud against Disney and Ron DeSantis. They'll forget about the whole Don't Say Gay bill. Like, they're going to forget so much of these entirely. And by the time that it actually does happen, Disney can just go and reapply it. Like, they could just reapply their special status and they could win it back. Not to mention that there is going to technically be a major election that's going to be coming soon in at the end of 2022 with the midterm elections. And there's a lot that could possibly change. And with the way that the Florida GOP and Ron DeSantis has become increasingly unpopular, there is a good chance that maybe this whole situation could actually be solved even before June 1st, 2023. I could be wrong, but the possibilities are actually there. And that's why we are seeing with what Disney is doing right now that, like, why Disney is doing nothing is because no matter what, they're going to be fine. Like, they know that they could just reinstate it back. And from there, it would be as if Disney faced literally no consequences whatsoever. So with all that, it actually did have me thinking. It actually did have me to go and wonder, what the fridge is Ron DeSantis and all those Republican politicians doing? Like, what is their, like, why are they even doing this? Considering that they put themselves in a position where at the end of the day, they'll, like, no matter what will happen, they'll most likely shoot themselves in the foot. Why is it that they're doing so anyways? And I came up with one of two conclusions. Number one, DeSantis and the Florida GOP are absolute idiots. Like, they're just taking action without actually even thinking about what they're doing or what the true consequences it will be. Especially when Ron DeSantis, like, after he did all this, like apparently he would go into the public, into the press, and he would just say, like, yeah, we got a plan. Yeah, we know what we're going to do, which is pretty much code for having absolutely no idea what to do afterwards. So from there, so yeah, like, it was a plan that was obviously not thought through. Or plan B, and this is one that I kind of believe this could most likely be the case. The GOP and Ron DeSantis, they know exactly what they are doing. They know perfectly well of what they are doing with their attack on Disney and all that kind of stuff. And they know for a fact that they cannot do any form of harm against Disney. especially with Florida. They need Walt Disney World and Disney because Disney World alone is a major key to Florida's economy, because without it, Florida would just be flat out dead. So from there, Ron DeSantis decided he's not going to go and actually attack Disney. He's not going to go and actually fight Disney and give them punishment for being woke and all that kind of stuff. What Ron DeSantis has committed is the illusion of winning, to make it look like he is giving punishment for Disney for being woke or whatever he accuses them of being, like to go after them, but to do so in a manner where in truth, Disney would not really face consequences whatsoever, or leave in the loopholes where Disney at the end of the day will actually go and turn out fine. Because that's the big thing with Ron DeSantis. Right now, he's pretty much making himself a major brand of being the greatest weapon against woke culture, which is why you're seeing him going after education with all these different laws about banning books and like silencing education on specific topics such as sexual orientation or anything like that. Like he really wants to be the champion against woke culture. That's right now what his major brand is. But he knows for a fact that it's a flat out lie, that he has no ability whatsoever to take down woke culture. Because even the stuff that he is effectively doing, well, it's kind of against the law and especially against the Constitution. Especially it goes against the First Amendment. So really, it just makes it look like if he truly is like a champion against woke culture, he's just making himself an enemy of freedom of speech. And from there, he decided that considering that his voters have a massive hate boner for woke culture, he'll make it look like he'll take down one of the biggest companies that take pride in being inclusive, in being diverse, which is none other than Disney. Especially right now when you see a lot of far-right groups that have a massive hate boner for Disney, that they wish for the day that they could shut down because of all their inclusivity and all because of their view of love and like a view of like globalism that they despise the most, that Disney is not so nationalist, that they don't share the same views as like Germany's Nazi party, for example. So from there, he decided to go and fake an attack against Disney for the sake of keeping his voters, to make it look like that they are happy, that to make it look like he is able to take down woke culture and to fool people into voting for him so that he could go and like be so that like they can make it look like he is going to be the greatest asset from keeping woke culture, from keeping political correctness, and to keep diversity away from America. That's basically the whole image that Ron DeSantis right now is trying to commit. But we know that he is a fraud. We know that he is an absolute liar. We know that he can't actually do those things because then it would completely destroy Florida as is. So honestly, that's my entire commentary on this entire piece, where no matter what's going to happen to Walt Disney World, as freaky as it is right now, Disney is going to come out okay. They're going to be completely fine from this because the thing is, the Florida residents and Ron DeSantis is going to face major consequences before Disney ever could. And really, this is just going to be a scenario where maybe this might not be a case where maybe there will be maybe a winner could come out in all this. But I can guarantee you, if there is going to be a winner, it's not going to be any of the Florida people, and it's certainly not any of the Republicans. All right, so with that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall. And I would like to ask you all, what do you think? What is your opinion about the entire scenario of Ron DeSantis stripping away Disney's special self-governing status? I know there's a lot to really digest in this, but I would like to know what you think. All right. I've been made aware of how fragile DeSantis is, but taking away that district's freedom of speech for supporting human rights, dude, come on. This just proves why the LGBTQ plus equals groomers bullcrap the GOP is pushing is a mentality that can be and will get people killed. Also, claiming that it is impossible to push Disney World somewhere else, and challenge accepted. I have no tools, but I have a DVD copy of Kung Fu Panda and Hot Sauce. That's all I need for what I call the world's greatest heist. Oh my God. Yo, that would be, I will say, like, just to lighten up the mood, that would be one epic movie. Like, imagine, like, the ultimate heist movie where they're going to steal Walt Disney World. They're going to take the entirety of Walt Disney World and move it away. Like, oh my God, like, it kind of makes me wish that The Bad Guys is a Disney movie so that we can actually have, like, that sequel. They're just gonna go and steal Walt Disney World. Oh my God, how insane would that movie be? Let's see. Well, this certainly took a turn for Disney. In only a few weeks, the company went from having its worst month in March to being attacked by conservatives because DeSantis is a bigoted wanker. I'll be honest, if there is a shooting at Disney World, I can't imagine the right looking good by doing that, but they jump through hoops to sound reasonable. I agree with you that Disney World will be fine. It's Florida that will be the one suffering from the lawsuit and having a fit. Exactly, like, they should honestly be thankful of the fact that so far Disney is doing nothing so far, because when the day comes that Disney does take action from all the backlash that they have received from the far right, that's going to be the day that they will absolutely regret it, because you underestimate how Disney can be such a powerful force. And regardless of what your views of woke culture is, if Disney is not liking your tone, they can wipe you off from existence. They will ruin you on the spot, just like that. Let's see what else we have here. This is definitely insane. Ron DeSantis is without a doubt the worst and the most vile governor on the face of the earth. The fact that he would do this to Disney is just full-on disgusting. I seriously cannot wait for the day DeSantis leaves as governor. And I really do hope that Disney will be fine. Seriously. It's like with how Florida is nowadays, with Bugs Bunny just saws off Florida just to make South America's problem. Yeah. Oh my God. Like, I remember during elections, like, that little GIF, like, that little animation is just so popular. Like, and it's understandably so, because, like, Florida can be such an insane state that sometimes it's for the best that you just separate Florida from the rest of the world. Like, yeah, they can offer us Universal Orlando and Disney World, but sometimes it's like, nah, man, we can't have you here. We don't want you no more. Let's see, what else do we got here? Disney has been in trouble for quite a while now. First, people criticized them for not supporting the LGBTQ plus community, and now after Disney decided to support them, conservatives begin to attack them. DeSantis doesn't really seem to have thought through of his plan to remove Disney's special tax status, since not only this can really damage Florida's economy, but as you said, Disney will just walk away from it all right. Maybe Bugs Bunny, again, wasn't such a bad person for sawing off Florida. Yeah, that's ultimately the major thing, is that, like, there is a side where it can seem credible that, like, considering how, like, emotionally driven and how fragile and sensitive Ron DeSantis and the people who support him are, like, it's credible to believe that they're just being absolutely stupid without really thinking this whole situation through. That, like, they're, you know, they shoot before they think. But then again, it's quite possible as well that he knows what he's doing, and he's just doing it for the sake of keeping their votes to make it look like he is able to take down woke culture. But the truth is, no one can. Ron DeSantis cannot do it. Donald Trump cannot do it. No one is able to take down woke culture. It's just part of the circle of life. You know, it's like going after woke culture is like going after gravity. No matter how many times you try to fight it, it's impossible. And every attempt to actually do so is nothing more but an illusion. Let's see now. And here we have a very Ron the Leprechaun attacking the Godsy Mouse. What did you even expect? Mickey kneeling before Ron's craziness, or just disappear out of Florida and keeping only the California park? This would cause not only massive tax raises for the Osceola folk and the Orange County folk, adding hundreds of thousands of jobless people in Florida streets, and most of all, ruining the tourism industry in Florida. Pro-business, Ron? More like pro-yourself. You're almost like Ivan IV the Terrible, and that alone is beyond scary. Yeah, and that's kind of the sad reality when it comes to nationalism. It's almost like a mental problem, to the point where, like, they pretty much have no understanding of what empathy is, and they put themselves beyond anyone else. That really is like how the America First mentality, well, like that's how it is. It's putting themselves before literally everyone else. And they don't realize that by putting themselves first before anyone else, it can often lead more than not to screw themselves over. Now, I'm going to go and read one more comment before we move on to the next story. Hi, a Floridian here. Excuse my language, but fuck you, Ron. Fuck you, cocksucker. I hope you choke on illegal legislation. Sadly, despite this man doing nothing to help the average Floridians, but rather bully students, he's super popular because he acts like Trump. For criticizing communist Cuba, this almost sounds like a dictatorship. Christ, this idiot is going to be president, isn't he? Because he's stronger than Sleepy Joe. Christ, young people, please vote again. Yeah, I mean, it is frightening to imagine if this guy does legitimately become president. And like, you could tell this dude is massively unstable and just full on embraces fascism. Like, I would even full on say that this dude is unapologetically a Nazi, considering that many of his views and that many of his ideals of what he's trying to push for Florida, they really do resonate with how Nazi Germany was when Hitler was ruling for it. And I mean, yeah, like, as much as Ron DeSantis can most likely be a con man, it would be horrifying to imagine what would happen if he would become president. Then that's when you would see white supremacy like full on rule the country. It's a frightening thought. But again, let's just hope for the best. And I think, like, thinking logically, Disney will come out fine. And let's just hope at the very least there will be some consequences that both DeSantis and the GOP will face. Okay, now with that said, let's go and jump on to our next story that we have over here. And we're going to go and discuss about a company that is unanimously hated, more so than Disney. At least in the case that I just talked about, Disney is a victim. But in what I will be discussing, this company is anything but. In fact, they have become the enemy of the week. And what I'm going to be talking about is in regards to Netflix. Holy crap, is the hate on Netflix massively strong. And the reason for this is actually, like, the big thing that really caused all this is because of the fact that news broke out that Netflix has lost a significant amount of subscribers. How many? Well, apparently in their first quarter, the number of subscribers that they have went down by 200,000. And they even state that in the next few months, it is possible that they could be losing 2 million subscribers. And ultimately, this actually caused them for their stock value to significantly drop. And when I say significantly drop, I mean like a massive plummet. Like, check this out. Like, apparently, like, on April 19th, like, their stock value, it was decently good. Like, their stock was worth, like, $348. Okay, not bad. But then suddenly, they crashed hard in the next few days. Like, right now, like, in total, what happened was that their value dropped by 37%, or around 37%, where they lost approximately $125. Like, this thing can fluctuate. Like, as you see right here, it says $124.41 that they have lost in the past 5 days. But still, you could tell that what they went through, was extremely bad, and it really hurt them hard. And from there, this resulted in the public to speak against Netflix, that they decided to go and let out their frustration of what they have against Netflix. And this is like a wide range of problems that people are just sick and tired about. Rather it be the fact that it takes a miracle for any Netflix show to go beyond, to even have a season 3 and beyond. The fact that they're continuously attacking password sharing, that apparently Netflix is viewing that as a bad thing and punishing anyone for actually committing that act, or even the fact that they are considering the idea of having a cheaper subscription service that would include ads. And by that point, it feels massively backwards if they would go and do so, because of the fact that, well, isn't that one of the big reasons why people subscribe to Netflix, is because they want to avoid commercials? But that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of all the different problems that people have when it comes to Netflix. However, this isn't just like a PR situation. It's also in terms of what's happening internally, where there are some massive problems. And apparently there was an expose that was revealed that showed that even within Netflix studios, they've been having serious problems. Specifically, what's been happening with the kids and family section at Netflix Animation. Apparently their animation studio is in such a disarray. Some people have stated that maybe Netflix Animation shut down or something like that. But no, that's not really the case. They're still up and running. It's just right now, what's happening at Netflix Animation is just purely chaotic. Especially when it was revealed that this week, Phil Rinda, the Netflix director of creative leadership and development for original animation, along with many members of his staff, has been let go. They were actually fired from Netflix. And from there, it was actually revealed that within the studio, apparently how they run their business is very much, how can I put this? It turned out to be very number oriented. In fact, it even stated here that when Phil Rinda was in control, they had a bit of a how can I put this? Not a memoir, not a mantra, but they had a saying where when they want to go and make animated shows for Netflix, they would go and say that they would want to go and say, and they actually say, here it is. I found the quote where we want to be the home of everyone's favorite show. Kind of sounds like a good motto, right? Sounds like a good thing to say. But nowadays, apparently just recently, Reed Hastings, the co-CEO of Netflix, actually told the animation team, we want to make what our audience wants to see. Yep, that seems to be a major difference right there. Going from making everyone's favorite show to making what audiences want to see, it shows there is a clear difference of valuing quality and valuing the numbers. And that seems to be the major thing that animators are very much upset about with what's going on at Netflix right now. It's the fact that they are so number oriented. The fact that they only care about the data, about the numbers, about how many people are watching their shows, that it's really discouraging animators from actually watching their content. So much so, in fact, that there have been some people, some prominent animation people that have worked at Netflix. Now they've moved away in bad terms because of how poorly managed things are at Netflix right now. Like one prominent example is Elizabeth Ito, the creator of City of Ghosts, a highly praised show, like very beloved, like getting top beloved reviews on stuff like Rotten Tomatoes, and was even recently nominated for a Peabody Award. However, because it didn't get the numbers that Netflix wanted, Elizabeth Ito was just having a hard time to convince Netflix to go and make more episodes, and like even the environment just feels very negative. It's just not a fun place to work at anymore, which is why ultimately she took her show, she left, and now Elizabeth Ito is working at Apple. Another prominent example is Dominic Bisignato, the executive producer of Centaur World, another beloved Netflix series that has a prominent fan base. But apparently it's the same thing, where apparently the environment became so negative with how Netflix has been pushing data and numbers that it ultimately led Dominic to quit, and now he is working at Cartoon Network. Now, I've been saying this a lot, of the fact that they value so much of the numbers, they're focusing so much of the data and stuff like that, that seems to take higher priority. And that's why right now what's happening at Netflix, the best way that I could go and describe it is that what people used to accuse of Nickelodeon of how they ran their business, that's actually happening right now at Netflix Animation, at least with the kids and family sector. Now, you probably remember, I don't know if this is still happening right now, but there used to be a time when Nickelodeon used to be heavily hated and receive so much backlash from the animation community because of their whole business plan of the fact that they would keep on canceling shows because they're not as popular as SpongeBob. That whenever they would go and air a show, they see the numbers, they're not as big as SpongeBob, and ultimately they would just scrap it entirely. Okay, well, if that would be the case, then what would be Netflix's, what would be Netflix's SpongeBob in that case? What would be the show that they think is like the high standard that all their animated shows should match up to? Well, believe it or not, it's not even a show that they have done. It is actually The Boss Baby. Yes, The Boss Baby series is their top standard. In fact, let me go and read you from my source here. On Yahoo, from an article that they have taken from The Wrap. It states, Netflix currently toots Boss Baby as the ideal of what an animated series on the platform should be and what kind of numbers those animated series should be bringing in. This was reiterated by almost everyone we spoke to. Although Netflix doesn't even own Boss Baby, it licenses the series from DreamWorks Animation, and also adds that a new Boss Baby series is going to be premiering next month. So that's currently the situation that the animators at Netflix that they are currently facing. It's the fact that they know that if their show is not as popular as the Boss Baby series, well then it would just get canceled. In fact, Netflix can actually be pretty ruthless to the point where they don't even give shows like a first chance. There have been times a lot that they have some highly prominent projects in the works and they would just scrap it all together because they didn't really like it. In fact, let me go and read you from my source here, right on top, before what I just read. True to this new thesis statement, several high-profile animated projects in the kids and family space have been outright canceled, including, and this is the one that people have been the most disappointed about, Bone, an adaptation of Roald Dahl's The Twits that was meant to be part of several doll-based projects, although Netflix insists The Twits is still alive, potentially now as a feature film, and Lauren Faust's witchy Toil and Trouble. So from there, and probably that's the little section right there that's causing a lot of buzz of what is currently happening right now. The reason why people are really paying attention to what is happening in the animation sector is especially Bone has been canceled after the years and years of trying to be in development to be turned into animation. They had their chance at Netflix, but then suddenly it would just be completely shattered. And of course, this is just part of the major problem. Of course, we have talked about before in regards to some of the other controversies that Netflix has been in regards to their animation sector, especially when it comes to hashtag New Deal for Animation, where they have been screwing over their animators of the fact that they would only pay them for making one season, but they take that one season and split it into parts and just release that as quote unquote seasons, which is exactly what they are doing right now with Cuphead. And yeah, you could tell right now that Netflix has seriously fallen from grace. It is bad, the downfall that we are seeing from Netflix right now. And by the way, I just want to go and clarify right now. Just want to make this massive statement that this is only in regards to the kids and family sector of Netflix animation. This does not necessarily reflect on what is currently happening right now with their animated feature sector, or with their adult animation sector, or even with their anime sector. Maybe this could be the case with all of them. Maybe they're facing a similar situation. But for now, in terms of the facts of what we do know, is that in regards to the kids and family sector, it is a complete mess. And yeah, I gotta say, it is honestly sad to see Netflix become this, because I remember just a few years ago, there was a time when Netflix was such a beloved space in the animation world. I remember when there was a time that they heavily promoted that Netflix has managed to grab many of the biggest names in animation, some of the most prominent names in animation, to work for them to create whatever show or whatever movie they want. It used to be viewed as a creator's utopia, where they got people not just Elizabeth Ito, but they also got Glenn Keane, Alex Hirsch, Craig McCracken, Jorge Gutierrez, Nora Twomey, and so much more. There are some of those people that are still working at Netflix right now, but I remember back then, it used to be a major hotspot for animators to go and create their own show with limitless capabilities of what they can do with the medium, that they can have full creative control with what they want to do with their projects, with little intervention with what's going on with the executives at Netflix. But it seems that times have certainly changed, and this is why right now we are kind of seeing this mass exodus of Netflix, at least in terms of the animation part, why we're not seeing as many prominent animation names still attached to Netflix, and why they're kind of bailing out, working at other places like Apple or Amazon or Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network or Disney or anything like that, because working at Netflix is no longer ideal, and they really have become what people assume the worst from Nickelodeon. And I gotta say, what they're doing right now with the whole Boss Baby comparison, it really feels low and it really feels cheap. Because the thing is, say what you will with Nickelodeon and how they perceive SpongeBob as their top prize. At least with Nickelodeon, it is SpongeBob is a project that was made at Nickelodeon. That it was a show that is created at Nickelodeon, developed by the Nickelodeon team, and it was Nickelodeon that went on and pushed SpongeBob to become one of the most famous cartoons in the world. At least it's understandable why Nickelodeon takes pride in SpongeBob SquarePants, because it is their creation. It is their success. But with Netflix, on the other hand, the Boss Baby is not their show. It's not their property. It's something that they have imported from DreamWorks Animation, and they're telling their animators to meet a standard that is made by someone else. And by the way, I just want to clarify right now, this is not meant to be an attack on the Boss Baby. This is not meant to be a full-on attack on the show, on the people working on it. I know that they're just doing their job. They're just creating a series. And from there, it's not necessarily their fault per se that the show became one of the biggest hits at Netflix right now. This is nothing against the people working on the Boss Baby show, but it really is a problem when Netflix is taking someone else's work and forcing their employees to be compared to them and try to meet what seems to be a virtually impossible standard for them to go and reach in terms of the viewership, in terms of the relatability, and in terms of the popularity. There's just something that seems a little bit gross. And especially as a YouTuber myself, I know that doing the comparison game is absolutely unhealthy, but forcing that onto your people and say oh, your show is not like the Boss Baby. It's worthless. You know, like that can really take a toll on someone else. That is honestly really, really bad right now. And considering that what we are seeing right now with Netflix and how people are perceiving Netflix, it's kind of crazy to imagine how much Netflix has fallen right now, considering that they used to be the biggest streaming platform. Like before the streaming wars was even a thing, like Netflix had a whole monopoly on the whole thing, on the whole market of just streaming services. And like it was almost as if every household needed a Netflix like as part of their entertainment. But then, like, when we see the growth of other streaming platforms such as Disney, HBO Max, Hulu, Amazon, Apple TV Plus, and so much more, it seems like the value is it has become like significantly worse and worse and worse and worse. And right now, people are starting to really lose faith on Netflix in terms of being content creators. And it is true that when you do think about like what are some of Netflix's biggest hits, it really is coming from someone else. It really is just Netflix taking someone else's work and just distributing it on their platform. Like it's not actually them who actually went on to create it. Now, this is not a knock against like actual Netflix shows, because a lot of them are definitely great. But when you do think of the ones that have made that have gotten the biggest numbers, like they're from someone else, rather it be DreamWorks, who made the Boss Baby series, or even Sony Animation, that like they're like so far their biggest animated movie hit is The Mitchells versus the Machines. So from there, I just gotta say that it feels like, you know, it feels kind of scummy right now with Netflix, where they're at the point where it's just like they used to be viewed as a creative utopia, but now like they just seem purely corporate. And I think that really is like a major reason why they are so unappealing right now, is that you could tell that Netflix has become such a corporate company, that they are just like, they only care about the numbers, they only care about the money, they don't care about the viewer, they don't care about the filmmakers. And that's why there is so much hate, because whatever love they used to have like for the people is pretty much gone now, and now they have become like this bland corporation that just cares about making money. And that's why we are seeing them losing more and more and more, to the point where now it actually feels possible for something like Disney Plus to actually go and be more popular than Netflix. I know that we said, like, people have stated that, oh, maybe in a few years' time there is a chance that Disney Plus could surpass Netflix. But now, seeing how things are being run, and if this actually continues, then there could be a very strong possibility. Again, I don't know if this is actually a similar case to like their animated film division, or their adult animation division, or their anime division. But so far with how things are being shown with their kids and family division, it's really not looking well. It's either Netflix needs to sober up and actually like, you know, set their numbers aside to actually care about the creators, or they might have to accept that they're just going to lose subscribers and that Netflix will end up becoming a thing of the past. Who knows? All right. So with that said, though, I would like to go and ask you all, what do you think about the entire situation with Netflix? I know that there's like still so much more that can be discussed about the situation. In fact, like, I don't know if I really talked a lot about like the whole Bone scenario and how unfortunate its fate has become, where once again, they have failed to go and be produced into an animated content. But I would like to know your thoughts on this entire situation. Even like, if you have any frustrations with Netflix, let me know what you think. Let's see. I was rooting for you, Netflix, for having some amazing animators. Some amazing animators I admire. You had one job, Netflix. One job! Well, I guess I shouldn't be that disappointed, but I am definitely pissed off about it. To all the creators and animators leaving Netflix, I wish them the best of whatever project they will do. As for Netflix, they definitely deserve to be called out for their stupid bad choices, even losing subscribers and definitely having bad stocks. So yeah, if I were you guys, go support another streaming service, I suppose. Like, the comment just ended off there. Let's see. I don't really get how Netflix could look at the drop of subscribers and think, we could stop canceling fan favorite shows in favor for Kissing Booth sequels. Nah, the animators are the problem here. Not to mention that the loss of Bone is absolutely devastating, almost as disappointing as the loss of Nimona. Hopefully Bone can have the same outcome as Nimona, but for now, it's weird that the newest insult towards animators is, I hope your show's rating gets compared to Boss Baby. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, and I mean, it's kind of like ironic considering that, like, not too long ago, not even a month ago, like, we were celebrating Netflix for reviving Nimona, for bringing Nimona back onto the, to reviving Nimona, and that we can have a chance to actually go and see it. But then, when it comes to another highly anticipated animated project, such as Bone, they just destroyed it entirely. They decided to just cancel it off because it might not be as good as the Boss Baby. So by that point, it's really going to gain a lot, like, especially for animation fans, it's really going to gain, it's really going to result in a lot of trust issues with Netflix. Like, it's going to require Netflix to distribute a lot of major animated projects. Like, I know they got some major stuff coming soon, like Nimona or Wendell and Wild or Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. And I have heard rumors that they are going to continue distributing Sony animation films, that unfortunately there could be some Sony animated movies that won't be released in theaters, unlike Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, but they will be released on Netflix. But still, at this point, it's really going to require a lot for Netflix to regain audiences' trust, at least in terms of animated content. Let's see now. Congratulations, Netflix. You are officially the most hated streaming service right now. I think it's safe to say that Netflix really has a bad mentality of what can be considered a successful animated series, and I really hate how the people behind those series have been treated. Although if Netflix really wants to be like Nickelodeon, all Nickelodeon needs to do is create their own award show and rig them to make the Boss Baby win for favorite animated series, and they're all set. Ah, yes. The Streaming Choice Awards, and no matter what animated series will get nominated, even if you love something like, if you love Arcane, or if you love the Cuphead show, nah, that award is always gonna go towards the Boss Baby. Let's see, what else do we got here? I only watched the Cuphead show for the kids sector of Netflix, as I only watched the anime and adult animation from Netflix. But this is sad to hear this. Trying to make your show be the next Boss Baby series, which they didn't even make, so you can't blame DreamWorks on this one, feels sickening, and they deserve to lose subscribers and money because of this. I hope animators who worked on Netflix gets treated fairly next time, or even leave the company in the future. Not to mention that I also want to add the fact that with this Boss Baby comparison, it does leave a negative image on the future of Netflix, where it feels like if they value the Boss Baby so much, then that could mean that maybe they're going to go and have more of those kinds of shows, that they're going to try to capitalize on other people's IPs and go and make their own show. Like this might sound crazy, and I mean, it'll most likely not happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if because of this, Netflix will want to try to get like the Hotel Transylvania series and the Cloudy with a Chance of Meatball series, move that onto Netflix and promote that as their next big animated shows. That for them, that will be their next Boss Baby, so that the animation fans of those movies can go and watch them, because yeah, there's nothing more that the fans of those movies love more than the Hotel Transylvania and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatball series. Am I right, guys? Oh boy. All right, let's move on to another comment. What the hell, Netflix? Not only did they cancel many highly beloved shows, including the highly anticipated Bone, but they want more crap shows like Boss Baby, even making another Boss Baby series. Jesus Christ, Netflix, the Boss Baby isn't even your property. If Netflix keeps this up, they have basically become the new Nickelodeon and might even end up going into a dark and depressing territory. And that is what I fear the most about Netflix making that discussion. I'm just disappointed. All right, I'll read one more comment before we jump into the next story here. Let's see now. It's very upsetting what is going on with Netflix. Never did I think that Netflix would become as corporate as Nickelodeon, but now it seems like that with this news, as you said, Matt, at least Nickelodeon had a reason to rely on SpongeBob because it was their own creation. Netflix's main animated shows is based on an existing property, like the Boss Baby. It's just kind of embarrassing. Also, Matt, if you know about the Bone comics, are they good? I'm very interested in checking them out. Yeah, I'm gonna be very honest. I personally have not read them, but I've only heard great things about the Bone comics. So if you guys want to learn more about Bone, then I highly recommend to go and read the Bone comics. In fact, if you actually do want the Bone comics to actually go and happen, go and buy the comics. Go and show that there is still some major relevancy with Bone and that it is worth being turned into an animated series. I'm sure maybe one day Bone will become a cartoon, but at this point, who knows? And, well, who knows if people will be keeping their Netflix subscriptions, but it's going to be interesting to see how much more Netflix is going to fall. All right, guys, let's go and jump on to our next story. And this, honestly, is a bit of a last-minute addition. Because this is actually something that happened, like, maybe an hour ago, or maybe even 2 hours ago. And I can guarantee you this is going to be one of the biggest news, not just of the week, not just of the month, but of the year. And I decided, you know what? I think it's going to be at the point where I might as well go and talk about it. So with that said, let's actually go and talk about today's major breaking news of Elon Musk buying Twitter. Yes, it is official, folks. Elon Musk has officially managed to convince Twitter to buy the entire social media for $44 billion. Now, to go into specifics, let me go and read you from my source here on Variety, as it states, under the terms of the deal, Twitter stockholders will receive $54.20 in cash for each share of the company's common stock that they own upon closing of the proposed transaction. The purchase price represents a 38% premium of Twitter's closing stock price on April 1st, 2022, which was the last trading day before Musk, who is the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, disclosed his approximate 9% stake in Twitter. Okay, so now Elon Musk has bought Twitter. So now that he has this, there's just one question now. What is he going to do with it? What is Elon Musk's plan with Twitter? Well, apparently he's got some ideas of what he wants to do for some major changes, but apparently one major thing that he wants to do is to fix up one major problem he seems to view with Twitter, and that is in regards to free speech. To which he states here, free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital of the future of humanity are debated. I also want to make Twitter better than ever by enhancing the product with new features, making the algorithms open source to increase trust, defeating the spam bots, and authenticating all humans. Twitter has tremendous potential. I look forward to working with the company and the community of users to unlock it. We even got a comment here from the independent board chair of Twitter, Brett Taylor, as he states, The Twitter board conducted a thoughtful and comprehensive process to assess Elon's proposal with a deliberate focus on value, certainty, and financing. The proposed transaction will deliver a substantial cash premium, and we believe it is the best path forward for Twitter's stockholders. So that's pretty much the situation that is happening literally right now, that as I am speaking, that this is pretty much what we are facing with Twitter, that now it is officially being owned by Elon Musk, that apparently he has this vision of what he wants to do to enhance Twitter, and everyone is pretty much freaking out about it. Even in my chat wall that I have noticed, there have been some people that they say that right now they're going to go and delete their Twitter account, that they decided that because Elon Musk is now in charge, that they're taking away their Twitter, they're quitting the social media, and they're moving on in the hopes that maybe because of this, Twitter will go and financially fall flat, that they will be destroyed. Now, I would like to go and make a statement over here that what I'm about to say and what I'm about to talk about, keep in mind that this is going to be a first reaction, my first initial reaction to this news, because again, this is actually some news that happened literally an hour or 2 hours before I started to record this. So everything about this is still fresh. It's still like still just out of the oven. So this is just like my first reactions, and maybe like in the future, I'll probably have some time to actually go and think about it, and maybe my views now might be a little bit different than how they are before, but I just want to go and state my initial reaction to this. And honestly, like, I understand why everyone is freaking out about this whole situation, because of the fact that Elon Musk, let's be honest, he could be a little bit unstable. Say what you will about what he has with like Tesla and SpaceX, but honestly, the best way to describe Elon Musk is that he is a white Kanye West. Like, that's the best way to go and put it. It's the fact that he would just go out and about, and that he would pull off like these crazy types of moves that really it's all for the purpose of inflating his ego. That you could tell that he has like this massive fragility that is with him, that he is very sensitive when it comes to his image, to his reputation, and with his business and all that kind of stuff. And you could tell that he really is the kind that is like very self-centered, and that because of his fortune, it causes his mentality to really go and warp, and that he really has like these borderline like far right or even like libertarian views, that he would really go and be like one of those people that would continuously rant about woke culture. In fact, like in response to what's been happening with Netflix, Elon Musk said that, oh, they're failing because Netflix has the woke mind virus. It's like, yeah, sure, Elon, whatever you say, please take your medication. You know, like he really is one of those people that like he's a prominent example where where having a massive wealth can really screw with your mindset, can really screw with your mentality to the point where you can become unstable. That anyone who is in a lower class that has that same kind of mentality as Elon Musk would be labeled as having a massive problem and would go and immediately seek some kind of medical attention. But because Elon Musk is rich, he is allowed to do whatever he wants, regardless of his mental status. Now, with that said, I understand why people would be freaking out and saying that they're going to go and delete their Twitter account as a response to all this. But honestly, over the years that I've been on the internet and witnessing what's been going on social media, like on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube and stuff like that, honestly, I'm just going to say right now that I don't think there's really going to be that much change to begin with. And honestly, I do find this to be a really stupid deal, because if anything, this is going to hurt Elon Musk more than anything else. Like, I know that people right now have kind of like this dystopian image of what's going to happen to Twitter now that Elon Musk is going to be in charge. And because he made all these crazy promises of like having more freedom of speech, of like changing things up with the algorithm and all that kind of stuff. But I can guarantee you that a lot of these things, they're nothing more but words. And I don't think these things are even going to happen at the same time. And even if they do, there are going to be some consequences that will really damage the company and Elon Musk's image. Because I feel like, honestly, whichever scenario is going to happen, Elon Musk is going to end up with the short end of the stick, where he's going to end up with a poorer reputation than he does right now. Because let's say, for example, that Elon Musk does the things that the far right wishes that he would do, that he would go and loosen up the rules about hate speech, about spreading conspiracy theories, bringing back Donald Trump, and all that kind of stuff. Like, really turn it into a conservative utopia. Like, let's say he actually does do that. Well, at that point, Twitter is just going to increasingly become more toxic and more toxic and more toxic, to the point that it's going to become unbearable, where harassment will become at an all-time high, where people are starting to lose interest in Twitter and decide to actually go and unsubscribe to Twitter, like to delete their account and move on from the social media platform. And from there, that's going to hit Twitter's financial reputation. It's going to hurt Twitter's stocks. It's going to plummet, just like what we have recently seen with Netflix. And it will be at the point where they're going to be so much in financial ruin that they could not recover from it. And it will be because of Elon Musk's way of running his business. He's going to end up he's going to end up managing it like how he managed his business with Tesla, where it's just going to become so bad and so toxic to the point where it's just going to become unprofitable. So there is that situation. But let's say, for example, that if he decided to go with the more financially wise situation and not do those things, where we're going to see minimal changes actually happen on Twitter, where we will see like Elon Musk taking a more politically neutral stance, where he's going to be equally fair to both conservatives and to liberals, by that point, well, that's when his image is going to be under attack. That he's not going to do those things that the far right wishes that he could do. And from there, that's when we are going to see massive slandering and massive attacks to Elon Musk, where the Trump supporters are just going to view him as a fake conservative, a fake Republican, that he's just doing it only for the purpose of virtue signaling, that he is viewed as a traitor and all that kind of stuff. That his image is going to be significantly burned down, which is going to be extremely problematic, considering that Elon Musk has a very prominent conservative fan base, a very prominent capitalist-loving fan base. So honestly, no matter what the situation can be, I cannot imagine a scenario in which Elon Musk is going to come out better than he does now. In fact, I would even say that he will become a lot worse than he has before, because even with the crazy ideas that he may have, it really sounds like it's going to hurt Twitter more so than it would actually benefit from it. And even if he doesn't actually do the things that he promised, even if he actually does do the more financially wise decisions, and that he keeps, and he keeps Twitter to be, he keeps Twitter to be fair for everyone, he's still gonna go and get backlash from it. So personally, I just feel like with this entire scenario, all this is just like an ego boost for Elon. Like, really, this is nothing more but a scenario that he just wants to go and like assert his dominance to show that he is a capitalist king, and decided to go and buy off the biggest one of the biggest social media platforms on the internet. Like, honestly, this really is nothing more but to just fuel his ego, to fuel his image, to show that he is the king of the new generation of the internet, and how he'll be able to make things go all digital and replace all the world's currency with NFTs and cryptocurrency. Like, honestly, this is all for the sake of just fueling his image. And honestly, I just find that it's going to be so easy to backfire. Maybe I could be wrong because, again, this is all just a first reaction to it, but it's hard to imagine that Elon Musk is going to come out okay in this case, or if he's going to keep Twitter remain intact in a position that is, well, acceptable as it is right now. And also, one funny thing that I do want to comment is what the far right wishes that Elon Musk could do. Like, all the things that they wish about what they want Elon Musk to do to turn Twitter into this conservative utopia. Like, already right there, it just seems so stupid. And the reason why I say that is because, well, don't these guys already have that platform? Don't they already have like the more conservative centric social media platforms that they can go and have all the quote unquote free speech that they want? You know, stuff like Parlay or the Donald Trump branded Truth Social. Like, if these guys really want to go and desperately want to escape woke culture, or like they don't want to be restrained from the rules of political correctness or anything like that, why not just go and move to those social media platforms? Like, why do you have to rely on Twitter? Why do you still rely on Facebook? Really? Like, at that point, it just makes no sense to me. It's like, you guys already got what you wanted. Like, why do you need Twitter and why do you need Facebook in that case? So that's honestly just something that I find absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, who knows what the future can hold, and maybe I could be completely wrong, and maybe there is that chance that Elon Musk could actually make things better for Twitter, and it could actually be beneficial not just for conservatives, but also for liberals as well. So I honestly don't know, but from how things are right now, considering with Elon Musk's reputation, considering like the things that he tries to promise, and especially with his behavior and with with his unstable mentality, it's just, you know, it's hard to really find anything positive. But one thing that I can affirm is that I got a very strong feeling that Twitter is not really going to change how it is right now. I know that people's first response so far is that they want to quit Twitter, but I highly doubt that there would be any changes happening. Even if Elon Musk is in control, I don't really think there is going to be that much significant change to the platform as it is right now. Even the things that he's promising, especially with the freedom of speech stuff, I don't think even that is going to change. So honestly, it's just really a stupid move, and really it's just nothing it's nothing more but a power move from an egomaniac who is very fragile about his self-image. And I don't know, it's just, I find this whole scenario to be stupid so far. Like, maybe my opinion will change in the long run, but for now, I just don't really see the point in all this. All right, so with that said, I would like to go and chat into the chat wall, and I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about Elon Musk buying Twitter? Do you have a good feeling about this? Do you have a bad feeling about this? Are you going to keep your Twitter account? Let me know what you think. Let's see now. This is really not a good sign. Personally, I don't have a Twitter account because of how much of a toxic dumpster fire it can be. But one thing I can guarantee is this. This will absolutely make people hate Elon Musk even more and make Twitter more toxic than ever before. So I fear what would happen. Well, I mean, if that is the case, if Elon Musk will deliver the promise that he wants to give, then that's going to ruin Twitter. But if he doesn't and remains Twitter intact, then he will receive backlash one way or another. Again, I just feel like this is going to be a situation where all this is going to do is just hurt Elon Musk's reputation. That's it. Let's see now. This news is absolutely bonkers, and it does raise a ton of concern, but has anyone noticed that it may have already started? I mean, I tried to make a tweet earlier, and it's sent as, "Oh my god, you guys, Elon Musk is so cool, he's such a godsend. He's the world's best investor and father. I want to suck Elon Musk's dick. Can you believe it? The dude really swapped out Dr. Doofenshmirtz's name for his own. This is absolute butthole this absolute butthole surfer. I get where you're going with this. And I mean, yeah, that is true. I mean, okay. I don't think this is going to be a scenario where that would legit happen, but I mean, it is actually true that Elon Musk is one of those people that like is in a very desperate need for compliments. That I heard apparently this might not be true, but I even heard rumors where apparently the line where Elon Musk, the line where Lisa in The Simpsons praised Elon Musk, that was actually something that he paid for. Again, I don't know that is true, but I mean, it does sound on brand to the personality of Elon Musk, considering the narcissist that he really is. So honestly, by that point, it's just like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if like maybe he'll change up some rules where you're not allowed to go and slander Elon Musk. You know, it would be like how Truth Social is running its social media, where despite the fact that they promote that they have free speech for everyone, you're actually not allowed to go and insult Donald Trump or any of the Republican politicians, or else you end up being kicked out. Seriously, that's actually a rule in Truth Social. Look it up. Anyways, I honestly don't know, man, but I got so much to say about Elon Musk. For one thing, he's making Asperger's syndrome folks look bad since I do have it. But yeah, I just think he just has Twitter because he just wants it and that's it. But we'll wait and see how Twitter goes with his leadership. Yeah, and I mean, like, especially the fact that Elon Musk has all these different companies running, like, you know, like he has Tesla, which he's doing very poorly with, and SpaceX, which arguably, like, he is doing a little bit better with. Honestly, I cannot really see that he would go and enforce his own rules to really make it his clear vision. Like, honestly, again, this is nothing more but a power move, but I highly doubt he's going to do the things that he promises. Let's see. We may never know what may happen next, but with a guy like Elon, it may lead to a good change or a bad change. And with his ego, it may mean that Twitter may become crazy. And this is why the Bible states, "For the love of money is the root of all evil." Which, while some coveted after, they even erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows, and it may damage Twitter because of his pride for wealth. Well, I mean, that's capitalism for you. That's the whole game of capitalism, is rejecting what the Bible says about money and stuff like that and just embrace it. Again, people who love Elon Musk and people who are like defenders of capitalism, they wish for a plutocracy where the wealthy rules all. And that's kind of what Elon Musk wants to do. He wants to rule, like, if he really is serious about like taking charge of Twitter and stuff like that, like he wants to be the ruler of the land purely because of his wealth. Let's see what else we have here. So Elon Musk will lose his reputation for either changing Twitter too much or not changing Twitter at all. I see this as an absolute win. Right now, I'll just keep my account for now until I do actually see any negative effects Elon will have on Twitter itself. Besides, I've already quit Facebook and Tumblr. Yeah, honestly, I'm personally going to do the same thing so far. I'm going to be a bit of a wait and see kind of attitude. I'm going to keep my Twitter. I'll see if things will actually be better for Elon, or if it's going to be better for Twitter, or if it's going to be worse. But if it's going to be at the point where it becomes way too toxic, then I may consider to go and bail out. But ultimately, we will have to wait and see. Again, this just happened, so who knows? I'll read one more comment before we move on to the next thing. Let's see what other comments. Okay, right here. It's a good thing I don't have a Twitter account, because if I were to have it and Elon Musk is going to run Twitter, I would have likely seen some more conservative responses than ever while creating more toxic too. I think he's going to run as CEO for less than a few years before he quits because of the pressure and attack by both conservatives and liberals. It's not going to go well for him in the future. Oh my God, you actually do bring up a very good point. There is that legitimate chance that Elon Musk could actually just bail out afterwards, that the pressure could be too much and that he's going to sell it away. I mean, that could also be a major possibility. Like, if he's gonna, like, if things do not go well for Twitter, if things actually go more into financial ruin, is he going to keep Twitter, or is he gonna go and sell it away? Honestly, by that point, who knows? But again, this just happened, and we'll have to wait and see. But for now, like, I'm keeping my Twitter, and we'll see if it's a good thing or if it's not. But either way, it's just not going to look good for Elon. Okay, folks, I know that we have went into a lot of heavy subjects and that we really dived into a lot of controversy. But you know what? Let's go and try to lighten up the mood a little bit, you know? Let's actually talk about some fun stuff that's going to be happening. And with the next story that I have here, actually what I have is a trailer. So why not go and actually escape this entire madness and go and watch the trailer, which, by the way, is going to be the second trailer for the upcoming Pixar movie, Lightyear.
Buzz Lightyear mission log, stardate 3901. After a full year of being marooned, our first hyperspeed test flight is a go.
Who are you talking to?
No one.
You were narrating again.
I was not. Just doing the mission log.
You do know no one ever listens to those.
I know that. Narrating helps me focus.
Ready, Captain Lightyear?
Ready as I'll ever be, Commander Hawthorne.
This is exciting. A new adventure.
I'm gonna grant you 4 minutes to be off planet, but then you come right back to us. To infinity.
And beyond.
You are clear for hyperlaunch. Beep boop, beep boop, beep boop. Buzz, that was utterly terrifying, and I regret having joined you.
Buzz Lightyear to Star Command. Come in, Star Command. Why
me.
don't they answer? Hey! Shh.
The robots.
The what? What is happening right now? Alicia?
Oh no, that's my grandmother.
But, Socks, how long were we gone?
Meow, 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 meow. 62 years, 7 months, and 5 days.
What?
I hope you're ready for action, because all we needed was a pilot
For what?
to destroy the alien ship. I have a plan and I have a team. Darby can take any 3 things and make them explode.
I do this, and they shave a little time off my sentence.
Okay. And what about you?
Well, I thought this was going to be like a fun boot camp workout thing. But it is not. Did I get it?
Pretty close!
I need the... You know what I'm saying? The harpoons?
Buzz!
Lightyear!
The probability of survival with an inexperienced crew is 38.2%.
Seems a bit low.
Mission failure imminent. In 3. Grandma always said she believed in you. 2. 1.
There was a big swirly do. Oh, I think I need a bag.
No.
Please record your last words.
Do not vomit inside the vehicle. Do not vomit inside the vehicle.
If you are satisfied with this recording, speak or select 1.
To infinity.
Are you trying to get me to pull your finger?
Don't fall for it.
No, not like that. Sorry, it's a thing your grandma and I used to do.
Yeah.
And that is Lightyear, in which that movie is going to be coming out in theaters. So far, it's still in theaters on June 17th. And I gotta say, this one is actually a lot more surprising. Like, honestly, like, this actually took a direction that I did not expect. Because, like, we saw the previous trailers from before, and they showed a bit of promise so far, especially with how they are taking all the concepts that they have developed in the Toy Story films, and they're kind of bringing it to life in its own unique way in this. And so far, like, it seems pretty interesting. Like, so far we're being sold, like, with the animation. So far we're being sold with the idea of like this new Buzz Lightyear, or this real Buzz Lightyear per se. But the one thing that is so unexpected is that they revealed a significant part of the plot that I did not expect that this is what it's going to be about. And that is the fact that apparently Buzz went to hyperspeed and apparently traveled through time, where now he meets a new generation of space cadets, like a new team that is going to be at his side. One of which, by the way, is going to be voiced by Taika Waititi, out of all people. And honestly, the plot is actually pretty interesting, because like now with that new area, that's where you actually go and see that the world apparently is going to be the world is conquered by Zurg, which we actually did get a much better view of him so far. Let me see if we can yeah, like right over here. Let me just yeah, like you see like a good, like now you actually see a good full view of how Emperor Zurg is so far. Like, holy crap. Like, that actually is pretty awesome. And you see a bit more of like the purple in him, and like even some of the little references that they do have. Like, we already got a good amount, like the crystals that actually fuel the spaceship, or like or even like with the with Buzz's suit and stuff like that. But like we even got a bit more, like even like the robot minions that are in charge. Like, they actually look a lot like, they actually do look the same thing like we have seen from before. Like, now we really are entering into the Buzz Lightyear world. It's actually a lot of fun. Like, honestly, just look like with the trailer, that like what they are promising with some of the action is actually pretty cool so far. And one thing I will state, that like, even though we've already received many of the other elements, the promise of like the action with the animation and like with Buzz Lightyear himself, but I feel like with this one, it focuses a lot more on the story, and even with the humor, which I will say the humor is not that bad. Like, I won't say that this is as funny as like what we recently just saw with The Bad Guy, for example. Like, I don't think it's as good as that, but then again, I will say that the humor is actually pretty funny, that there are some pretty good moments, some good comical moments here, rather it be like with like when they would go and fly around the ship and like they talk about throwing up and stuff, or even at the end where they did make fun of like the little To Infinity and Beyond thing, which like, I mean, it was a really nice moment that we saw like right at the beginning, where like they actually did do the To Infinity and Beyond. Like, it was actually really cute, and I feel like it's just something that was very satisfying to finally see, because especially like you remember the first teaser trailer that we had, like where it actually did cut off where they said like To Infinity and then that's it. It was like, now we finally did get that moment. Like, let's just see that little part again, that we finally have that time where they finally did do so. Oops, hold on a sec. Forgot the volume there.
To Infinity
And beyond.
Yeah, they finally said it. It just, that alone already feels very satisfying to see. And so far, like, and even in terms of the plot itself. Okay, now I will state that so far we don't really know the full plot as is, but we kind of have like a very, very short summary of what this is going to be about. The fact that Buzz Lightyear accidentally traveled through time and is now like in 65 years ahead in the future, and now is working with the granddaughter of his best friend. Like, okay, that I will say is pretty cool, but there's still like a whole bunch that we don't fully know about. So it does do its job to actually show us more things about Lightyear without revealing too much of it, and already captured our intrigue. And even if we did get a bit more of a look of Zurg and many of his minions, like we didn't get like a full look. Like there wasn't really a moment where we would say like, oh, this is who Emperor Zurg is. It's like, this is Zurg and all his glory. Like we didn't fully get that kind of moment, but so far the things that they are teasing us with it So far, it's looking very good so far. And honestly, with this, there's not necessarily a whole lot that I could say about it, especially when there's already so much that we've already talked about with Lightyear in the past. But so far, I'm just going to say this is doing its job where it is still keeping up the hype and our excitement for Lightyear when that's going to be coming out, especially with some of the new info that we have seen so far, including the fact that like we got Taika Waititi into this. And I feel like so far Taika Waititi feels like a good luck charm. It's hard to think about anything in recent years, rather it be something that he has directed or something that he was an actor in. It's hard to imagine like any of them in which like he did a bad job on. So far, like he's been doing pretty good, like with with Marvel, with the Star Wars universe, and now the fact that he's going to be a part of Lightyear, I think it shows a lot of really good promise so far. So yeah, overall, so far, once again, like the previous trailers, I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far, and I can't wait to see this on the big screen when this movie is going to be coming out on June 17th. All right, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what do you all think about the second trailer of Lightyear? Does this make you guys a lot more hyped up? Do you have any concerns that you would like to speak about? Let me know what you all think. All right. And yes, by the way, if you guys heard during the trailer, I did sneeze, of course. That is in case for the people who are only listening to this. Let's see. This feels like your movie. Looks amazing. It looks a lot like the 90s Power Rangers meets the 2001 and A Space Odyssey. The interaction was really good, although it was a little too realistic, though. They could have just done the same technique Marvel does for their movies and give them warm live action feel. But still, I'm curious to see how comic books like this movie can really go for, you know, be more like the 1980s He-Man kind of vibes. I'm saying this movie 1 week after the premiere for sure. Okay, then. Let's go into the next one. Well, damn, I'm psyched. The trailer is a little too spoiler heavy for my taste, but the animation is absolute god tier. The redesign of Zurg is absolutely badass and even a little intimidating, and I like Buzz's little ragtag group of misfits, especially the old lady. I'm calling it right now. She's gonna be my favorite character. But still, I'm hoping we get a gritty spaghetti western starring Woody. $1 million idea, Disney right there. Yeah, okay, and I'm just gonna add into that. If you want to go and make that gritty Woody movie, please have a Johnny Cash style rendition of Woody's Roundup. You guys know what I'm talking about, like just like one acoustic guitar going, Woody's Roundup, coming around the town. Woody's Roundup, coming around and now. He's a rootin'est, tootin'est, shootin'est cowboy in the wild, wild west. Woody's Roundup. You know, have something like that. Oh, let's see what else we got here. Lightyear will be really good. I just know it since it's Pixar. I'll definitely see this in IMAX because of its sequences will be in that format. Zurg looks great. The other cast members look promising, especially Taika being in it. He's such an awesome guy and briefly met him. Also, I'll be looking at this movie as a standalone movie and not compare it to Toy Story. I want to see it as its own thing. I can't wait. And I think that's really the big goal about this. I think it really is the fact that it's not a Toy Story movie per se. It's not meant to be like a Toy Story spin-off. It's meant to be like its own movie. And so far from what they are promising in the trailers, I think they really are nailing that. Let's see now. Chris Evans can't help himself traveling half a century in time in a film in general. In all seriousness, though, oh my god, that is actually pretty true. This trailer is really awesome. The animation is Pixar's best, as always. The voice acting is great, and the humor is really funny as well. I'm hyped for this movie to come out. Also, quick question. I'm not sure if you already answered this question, but do you think if this Lightyear does well, will Woody get his own spin-off film? I mean, I think we'll wait and see, but truthfully, I don't know. I'm not going to say no, but I'm just going to say I doubt it for now. But then who knows what's going on at Pixar. Let's see. I gotta say, the second trailer for Lightyear is very impressive. The animation is top-notch, the characters were fun, and the humor is pretty humorous. Emperor Zurg even looks very cool in that movie. I got nothing much to say, so I'm excited to watch Lightyear and expecting to watch it on June 17th. Also, let's not forget about the same-sex kiss scene with Buzz's friend. Although nowadays, I gotta say, at that point, which one? Like, they confirm it's gonna be Hawthorne, right? But is it going to be, like, at this point, is it going to be his best friend? Or is it going to be the granddaughter? Like, now I'm honestly a little bit confused. Like, who is going to get the same-sex kiss now? Like now we got two Hawthorns, and it just makes it a little bit confusing. Who the fridge knows? Okay, let's see now. It feels kind of weird that this trailer doesn't have Starman in it. Besides that little detail, I'm really fascinated with what Pixar has revealed with the story, and the action that has shown off looks really cool. I am certainly a lot more hyped for this movie than ever. Also, I wouldn't say that Buzz traveled through time, but rather he was affected by time distillation due to him traveling at light speed. So, time traveling per se. It's accidental time traveling, but still kind of time traveling in a way. All right, I think I'm going to read one more comment before we go into the grand finale of all this. Oh, let's see. Oh my god. Okay, this one is cute, actually. I can imagine if Woody saw it, he would be screaming with so much joy, Buzz! Well, then again, they do state that technically, hold on a sec, the focus kind of came off there. Technically, this is supposed to be the Woody, this is supposed to be the movie that Andy has seen that really inspired him to be more into, like, you know, to be more hyped up about being a space ranger than being a cowboy. So I don't know, like maybe nowadays, like, you can imagine it's like, that's my best friend, he's played by Chris Evans now, oh my god. Like, maybe, like, if this were released now and we are in the timeline of Toy Story 4, but I think, like, with what they're trying to set up, this is supposed to be, like, technically before Toy Story 1, where this is what inspired Andy to be crazy about Buzz Lightyear. But again, if you guys are excited for this movie to come out, then keep in mind that this is going to be released on June 17th. And yes, so far, the promise is still intact that it will be in theaters. All right, this is it, folks. I know you've been waiting for this one, so now it is time that we are getting into the grand finale. And with this one in particular, at first, this may seem like some bad news. This may seem like something that people are very much disappointed that this happened. However, the further you do look into it, the more that you think about it, the more that it shows that Sony has a lot of confidence on this one. And I mean a whole lot of confidence. So with that said, let's go into the final story of this episode and talk about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Yes, Sony Pictures has announced that when it comes to their most anticipated movie in their lineup, which is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, they have revealed that they will have to go and delay it. Originally, it was supposed to come out October 7th of this year, but now they have decided to go and move it pretty far down the line to June 2nd, 2023. And to add a little bit of detail, by the way, they've also changed the title where they decided to remove the part 1, where now it's just going to be referred to as Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. But keep in mind, though, that doesn't mean there is no longer a part 2 of this, because this is where the good news actually comes in, where yes, the bad news may be that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is delayed, but we actually got a confirmed release date for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 2, which that one is actually going to be released not far off from the first film, less than a year, in fact, where part 2 will be released on March 29th, 2024. And from there, on top of that, Sony has also revealed a whole bunch of other release dates, which even includes the animation live-action hybrid Lyle Lyle Crocodile, which originally that was supposed to come out on November 18th, but now that's going to be taking Across the Spider-Verse's original spot on October 7th. And from there, they have also revealed that the Spider-Man spin-off film, Madam Web, that's going to be coming out on July 7th, 2023. And on top of that, they've also scheduled the third installment of The Equalizer with Denzel Washington, which that one is going to be coming out September 1st of next year. And finally, they have also revealed that their Korean War movie, Devotion, is going to have several release dates, in which they decided to go and start off with October 14th, where there's going to be a little bit of limited runs, and then they're going to expand more on it on October 21st, and then ultimately they're going to be released, it's going to be released worldwide on October 28th. So that's the big thing that we are seeing so far with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, I know that technically the first reaction that people have with this is just, oh! You know, it's a little bit disappointing because I know for a fact that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was one of, if not the most anticipated movie of this year. Everybody is very much hyped up for that movie's release to see the comeback of Miles Morales along with the other Spider-Man people such as Gwen Stacy as... as Spider-Gwen. For some reason I had a brain fart. I was like, what's Gwen Stacy's Spider-Man name again? It's okay. Comeback of Spider-Gwen to see, like, now to fully see Spider-Man 2099. And on top of that, like, especially after that amazing teaser trailer that we had before, like, right now, the hype is totally high, so it's understandable why people were very much disappointed to see that this would be delayed. But then again, it could be a good thing as well. Like, there is some positive to it. Like, first and foremost, of course, one benefit for this movie to be delayed means that they can actually have more time to actually be produced, more time to actually go and create the movie to be as best as it can be. Because the standards are ridiculously high, they can actually have more time to actually meet those standards. But honestly, I find that there is also another reason why they are delayed in this, and this is actually a bit more of a unique case, but also a very understandable case. You gotta keep in mind that technically right now at Sony Pictures Animation, they are working on 2 movies at the same time, that they are technically simultaneously working on part 1 and part 2 at the same time so that their release dates could actually be pretty close to one another. Because I can imagine that after part 1, people are going to get massively excited about this and they're going to hype themselves up where they really want to have part 2 to come out, especially if part 1 could actually end up concluding on a major cliffhanger. So the people at Sony don't want those people to really wait. Like, they want to make sure that the hype can still be really, really high by the time that part 2 can actually go and be released. So that's why we do see that release date where it is actually very close to one another. But then again, I could actually argue that maybe it's more the release date why they decided to go and delay it, where they don't want to have their audience to wait over a year until the next one would come out, or even like a year and a half or something like that. They want to go and actually have the release dates be a little bit more closer together. And plus the fact that, like, you know, the benefits of having more time to work on part 1 and more time to work on part 2 and stuff like that. So there is that benefit. But then again, like, I did think about this, and there's honestly something that I realized that, holy crap, Sony has some serious balls to put Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse on that new release date. Because if there is one thing that really got me freaked out, like the one thing that really made my eyes pop out seeing like that delay, like, honestly, like, what's more newsworthy than the fact that Spider-Verse 2, technically Spider-Verse 2, is being delayed, It's the fact that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is now going to be released in the month of June. Do you have any idea how crazy it is to release an animated movie in the month of June? That is Pixar's territory. And yes, by the way, I did double check, and Pixar is going to have an animated movie be released at that time. But if you're going to be releasing an animated film, then that means you have the confidence that your movie is able to go and compete with whatever Pixar could go and release. And that's the part where I find to be absolutely insane. And honestly, when it comes to Sony's Spider-Verse, absolutely. I think that would be the one franchise that could legitimately have a chance to go and compete with Pixar. Even if it's going to be like a few weeks ahead, like even if like Sony would release their movie first, and then a few weeks later, Pixar would release their feature film. I can imagine where there could be a bit of that animation clash going on. And like normally with Sony Animation, they would not have faith to release their movies at that specific release date whatsoever. They know that they don't have like the reputation that Pixar has. And normally they would go and try to push their release dates away where they don't have to face any form of competition, like in the month of September, or maybe even in October or something like that. Like normally September is kind of like a Sony Animation safe space, but now that they're releasing it in June, it shows that they truly have confidence that they have a movie that could really win audiences over, to the point that it could be that they could face a decision either if they would want to watch their movie or if they would want to watch Pixar's movie. So honestly, at that point, that's where I find to be the most insane thing about this entire story, that we could be seeing in the month of June an actual box office battle between Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and whatever Pixar might have in store. So I can understand that right now the pressure is on at Pixar. Whatever they have in store in 2023, it better be something absolutely phenomenal. It better be something that could be worth the competition against Spider-Verse. Because even if Spider-Verse would be on its third weekend by the time they would release their new movie right there, like they still gotta pull off something amazing. Like maybe somewhere somewhere where it could be equally the same hype as we have right now for Lightyear. So that's honestly something that I want to go and comment immediately on. But there is one thing that I do need to criticize, though. There's just something when it comes to Sony's scheduling. I feel like this is the part where it just makes absolutely no sense to me. And if there's one release schedule that I find to be so confusing, it's nothing with the Spider-Verse films, but rather with the new Spider-Man spin-off film, Madam Web. The fact that they would go and release it on July 7th, 2023. The fact that Sony would release a Spider-Man spin-off film just a month away from their animated Spider-Man film. Because now this part right here, I find it to be so confusing and very much conflicting, because here's the thing. When Marvel would go and release their movies, they are carefully calculated. They want to make sure that with each of their feature films, none of them would overlap each other and none of them would screw each other over at the box office. And not to mention that they wouldn't release so many at the same time to the point that it would cause people to have a burnout with Marvel movies and just give up on them altogether. That's why we see their release dates really sparsed out from months ahead. That's why something such as Thor Love and Thunder is going to be released several months away compared to something like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But in here, it seems extremely conflicting, where not only is Sony releasing two of their superhero movies just a month away from each other, but these are two of the same, I guess cinematic universe is debatable, but these are two of the same franchise, technically of the same superhero. I mean, technically, Madam Web does not feature Spider-Man, but it technically counts as a Spider-Man movie. And at that point, it's completely easy to see, like, even in a month away, that Spider-Verse can still go and overshadow something like Madam Web. And this is not to mention the current reputation that Sony's Spider-Man spin-off films have right now, and how currently people have just lost complete faith on Sony when it comes to making Spider-Man movies. Like, unless if they are actually created by Marvel Studios led by Kevin Feige, or if it's made by their animation team, people don't really want to go and see Spider-Man spin-off films that Sony has planned for them, especially after the massive failure of Morbius. Like, it's going to really take a lot for Sony to regain people's trust after that disaster right there. And not to mention the fact, like, if that wasn't enough, if the scheduling conflict between those two Spider-Man films aren't bad enough, if it weren't for, like, if the entire reputation of Sony's Spider-Man films isn't bad enough, there is also the factor that in that schedule, there are also other major movies that will completely overshadow Madam Web. Don't believe me? Then take a look at the release date that they have right here. So just go down. This is apparently so far what we got with the release date, with the schedule for all the major movies that are going to be coming out in 2023. And if you take a look, Madam Web is scheduled to be ready on July 7th. But then you got the week before it, on June 30th, that's going to be the release of Indiana Jones 5. And that one, I know for a fact, is highly anticipated. It's like that one is going to be one of the most, like, you know, the one movie that people are going to be really keeping a watchful eye on in 2023. And then the week after it is going to be Mission Impossible 7. So from there, like, you already got your major options, and not to mention, like, all the superhero movies that people are going to have. Like even just before it, people will have a massive fill of superhero movies, where in May, there's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. In June, not only is there going to be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, but there is also The Flash that's going to be scheduled. Well, then again, I guess you could argue about The Flash because, well, like, considering how Ezra Miller is right now, we don't know if Warner Brothers really wants to keep that film. But the point is, like, by the time Madam Web is going to be coming out, the interest is going to significantly decrease. And honestly, I don't, like, at this point, I have to question why Sony would want to go and schedule Madam Web there. I feel like it's just a temporary placeholder, like, just to put a release date on so that they could confirm that Madam Web is going to be a thing. And then when 2023 rolls out, that's when they're going to go and delay it to, like, a different time that's going to be safer and not as competitive. Or, considering how bad things have been going with Morbius, Sony would want to go and, well, I know it sounds a little stupid and a little harsh, but kind of sabotage the Sony spin-off films. And they want to go and, like, solidify the fact that these movies are just absolute failures, and kind of give them an excuse to no longer make these types of movies, or to have, like, a complete restart in terms of what they want to do with the Spider-Man movies. But either way, I just find, honestly, with what they're doing with Madam Web, it feels so confusing. It feels like a pretty bad decision that it's hard to imagine that it's even going to stay at that release date. But for now, honestly, like, even if that's a dumb move, it certainly is a really smart move of what Sony is doing with the Across the Spider-Verse movies. And, like, yeah, it kind of sucks that we're not getting it this year, but then again, it could actually mean that it will be very beneficial in the long run, so that part 1 and part 2 could actually turn out to be amazing, or it could meet up to the hype that people have right now. So if you guys are still excited to see Across the Spider-Verse, then keep in mind, on its new release date, it won't be on October 7th. It will be on June 2nd of next year. And so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall And I would like to ask you all, what do you think about the new schedule that Sony has with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and several of their other movies? Are you guys still excited for it? Are you a little disappointed by the delay? Let me know what you think. Okay, let's see. I'm honestly really sad that Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 is getting delayed to 2023 and Part 2 is delayed to 2024. Well, I mean, then again, nobody said that Part 2 was delayed. This is the first new release date that it got. I was really excited for this movie to come out in theaters, but since it got delayed, I guess we'll have to wait till this masterpiece goes on the big screen. All right, let's see. I think delaying Spider-Verse is a great benefit to not only making a better movie than it already is, but could also potentially top the first film, especially with it being a two-parter and competing with Pixar's 2023 film. Though I find it weird that the whole scheduling change was announced 5 days before Sony's CinemaCon presentation, though would be a better time to announce it there. But either way, this is good news for Spider-Verse at least. All right, so there is a positive perspective on it. I know that it is weird, and I'm sure next week, maybe there'll be a lot to talk about with the CinemaCon announcements, but we will see. At first, I was very disappointed with Across the Spider-Verse being delayed, especially with how it seems like it won't be coming out in 2022. However, if this delay allows the film to be even better and meet the same standards as Into the Spider-Verse, I am okay with it. Also, regarding the 2023 summer schedule, I could see a battle between all these big movies coming out. Seriously, the summer of 2023 is going to be really interesting to see which movie will come out on top of the box office. Absolutely, and I mean, it feels like it's going to be the first summer in years that we're going to see a very competitive box office battle. It's going to be an exciting time, and at least it feels like a promise of things finally returning to normal after the whole shenanigans with COVID. Let's see what else we got here. Well, that's a bummer because my most overall anticipated movie of the year got pushed back to next year in the summer of 2023, but I understand though. I even noticed that next year will be Miles Morales' year with not just Across the Spider-Verse, but also Marvel's Spider-Man 2 from Insomniac Games, as well as Sony could be capitalizing high to make the anticipation worth the wait for Spider-Man fans like me, for example. I hope Sony's plan pays off well in the next year. All right, let's see. With all the delays that have happened in recent years, I wasn't that shocked that Spider-Verse was delayed. I do actually really appreciate that Sony Animation are delaying Across the Spider-Verse so they can refine the movie to perfection, which I feel rarely happens to any form of media. Sony must have major balls, though, to release both Spider-Verse and Madam Web at the same time as some big competition, but we'll have to wait and see if it will work out for them or not. Well, yeah, especially for Spider-Verse. For Spider-Verse, I will say it is kind of at the start of the summer, so it won't face as much competition. At the most, it will probably have to face Guardians of the Galaxy, Fast and Furious 10, and also the Little Mermaid remake. But other than that, though, there's going to be some major hype and competition. Madam Web, on the other hand, I think it's going to be pretty hopeless for that one. All right, I'll read one more comment before we cap this one off. At first, I was... I already read you. What the fridge? It doesn't matter if the movie is delayed, but I'm still glad Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is still coming. Like Shigeru Miyamoto said, a delayed game is eventually good. I do hope Sony Animation gives updates on other animated films that are in development like Black Knight and Fix since Genndy Tartakovsky is done with Hotel Transylvania. Same goes to K-pop Demon Hunters, which I heard the rumor it will be on Netflix. We will have to wait and see with what's next for Sony. Yeah, I mean, Sony, I will say they have been suspiciously quiet with their projects, but at least we do have some updates on Across the Spider-Verse, considering that a lot of people are very hyped up for that one. And with that said, I think that should do it for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Thank you all so much for joining me on this one, because holy crap, you guys saw what I meant at the beginning when these stories, man, they are just crazy. Sometimes they can feel a little bit too big, and hopefully by next week we can have a little bit more fun than dealing with the heavy, holy crap, panicky kind of situations. So with all that said and done, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes.